Thanks for answering these questions for me. Ignore the cardboard, that's just so you can see the cables clearly. I've laid them out similar to the drawing. I put the nitrous kit in the back here because there isn't much room under my lowered seat. First and foremost, I don't want the system to operate automatically from the throttle position switch, or from the throttle switch itself, or gear position switch I should say, on the throttle switch. I want this to operate from a button, but I'm not using the horn button. I've got my own button, separate button, mounted underneath there, which is convenient to my thumb, right? So we've established that. Dealing first with this main cable, I assume that is the black connection to the negative side of the battery, because it doesn't show any positive and negative on that drawing. That will be the positive side, through the fuse, through that plug, into this switch. And now I can see that it switches back down the other red wire, back into the nitrous box. But on the drawing that I've got, there is a cable there going back from that switch, and it shows it going to that cable which goes to the nitrous solenoid. Now, is that a switched positive feed from that switch, or is it a direct positive feed from off the live side of that switch? Because it doesn't show on this diagram, the arming switch doesn't show what the contacts are doing inside and which one these wires come from. Also, this wire, the cable from the nitrous kit that I got second hand, obviously, on that cable is a label stuck on it by the previous person. It says blue plus blue to the solenoid, but in fact those two wires are red and black. There is a blue wire there, but that says earth to frame. So I need some clarification on that, please. And also that wire, as I mentioned before, that's supposed to come from this arming switch to the solenoid circuit, doesn't show where it goes into the circuit, what it connects to. Right, also on the arming switch there are black and blue cables coming off the other side of it, which is independent to the ingoing side of the switch from the mains. This is separate circuits on this side because I've checked the switch. There's two black there, and they were coiled up, and the two black are just linked together. The blue one, that's just don't know where it's supposed to be going to or what it does. As I say, I'm not using the standard horn button on the bike. So how should I connect my circuit? Is a feed required from this switch to the solenoid? Is it a switch feed or a direct feed? Or is the solenoid switched from inside the nitrous control unit? On the diagram that I've got, it shows a cable there to what's described as the fuel computer. Is that referring to the bike's ECU? And is that the cable? Because that's not got one box on the end of it, that's got two multi-plugs on the end of it, but they aren't shown on this diagram. Also coming out of the BTC Moto kit box is this cable with a multi-plug on, and the cable has 3 wires in it, coloured yellow, green and a very light browny pink colour. Where do they go? Because that drawing doesn't show those cables or that multi-plug at all. I have a hand-drawn sketch here that was given to me with the kit, which shows a white wire to a progressive controller, which I'm not using, but there's no white wires coming out of this kit. So there again needs some clarification. It shows a purple to the air shifter button, but I don't see any purple wires on this kit. Also on this printed diagram it shows, or it says, the arming switch has 1 unused terminal. Underneath that it says horn, throttle and gear position activation diagram, but it doesn't show anywhere on that diagram anything to do with the gear position activation. And talking about the gear position activation, I've got a TRE on this, and that tells the computer that it is in 5th gear all the time. So how will that affect the BTC Nitrous kit, please? And thank you to both of you for time and trouble in helping me with this. I'm sorry to be a bit of a nuisance with the various questions I've asked, so I hope you can answer the written questions plus the ones I've just described here. Thanks again.